Mike Bohn here at American Top Team with Coach Mike Brown, and it is a massive fight week for you, man. Jorge Masvidal, the rematch with Kamaru Usman, main event, UFC 261. This must be a very exciting feeling in this big fight for you.
Super pumped. The pinnacle of the sport, UFC welterweight title. 1 week away. I'm almost there.
Can you tell us the difference, in Jorge in this camp? Obviously, we know the circumstances around the first fight. 6 days notice, massive weight cut, traveling around the world. The story's kind of been told leading into this one. What difference have you seen now that we know this fight has been happening for several weeks at this point?
Obviously, it's night and day. I mean, everyone has to understand how difficult it is to fight in a world-class fight like this for 5 rounds. You have to be in your best shape, and that's impossible to make happen in 6 days, and especially when you have to fly across the world and make weight. So, I mean, obviously in the first fight, conditioning was the issue, right? Like you could see George had all the skills to deliver. He was able to outstrike him. Anytime he got taken down, he was able to get back to his feet, fairly quickly. He just on the short notice with the massive weight cut, he just didn't have the gas. He needed pockets to rest. He was resting on the cage when he shouldn't have been, but he needed to. That's what happens when you're in that situation. But I mean, George is a confident guy. I mean, he still believed that, hey, I can fly over there and get this guy out of there in the first round, and I'll do my thing. And he took a chance, and it didn't happen. But now he has the full camp, and he's ready to make it happen.
This is obviously such a great opportunity. It's kind of rare in the fight game. The challenger loses the fight, gets an immediate rematch, no wins in between. Just how beneficial is that in terms of tactics from you guys? I know he wasn't, as everything you just said there, in his best place for that fight, but now that you get a redo with a full camp and knowing what Usman feels like and everything in there, like, how much does that help you guys?
I think it helps quite a bit. But I mean, this is what he deserves, because I mean, in my eyes, he did everybody a massive favor. I mean, he's saved the UFC. They lose their title fight, their main event, and not a lot of people are, especially in that position, are willing to take that risk on a short notice and fly across the world. I would hope that they would, honor his request for a rematch. That seems like the right thing to do, and I do think it's I'm glad that we have the information from the first fight. We see how things could potentially go. We see some strengths, we see some weaknesses, and I like where we're sitting.
Sure. I won't ask you too much more about game plan. I just want to ask about this moment for Jorge. Obviously, if he can get this done in his home state, a full crowd there of people that he knows and loves, all that stuff after such a long journey in his career, can you kind of try to put into words, after everything you've seen him go through, what this crowning achievement would be like for him?
No, it would be, I mean, I would say, 90% of MMA fans are going to rejoice and be super pumped. This is the story everybody, wants to hear. This is a guy who has put in the time more than anybody, a guy with more than 50 fights and fought for peanuts for years and years and years and years, and was always so skilled, and sometimes it's a little bit of luck is involved with how things fall, and finally he catches a couple breaks, and boom, here he is now, one of the biggest stars in the sport, and ready to win the UFC title after 50 fights. It's like the craziest journey of any fighter ever, and it's going to be something special. Maybe the most special night of my coach. It'll be the most special night of my coaching career for sure. I can't wait.
That's amazing. And have to ask you, a couple months from now, we have the trilogy, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. Obviously, a great performance by Dustin last time around. So amazing. We saw everything he did in there. With the trilogy, I mean, what kind of changes are you looking at this time around, maybe from Conor's end, from your end? Do you think it's going to be a whole different fight? How much can you take away from the last one? All these little things going into part 3.
I mean, there's a lot of things we take away from it. We don't want to give away too much, but I'll say, I think Conor believes that the calf kick is what really was the major problem, but it wasn't the calf kicks that knocked him out. So this is I like where we're sitting in this fight, and I'm very confident going into it.
Yeah. Is it, in your mind, did Dustin make the right call here? I know he had the option between the trilogy and the title fight. We kind of know, I know you spoke about the money that should be made by these fighters. This is an opportunity for him to, set up his family for a very, very long time. So do you think he made the right call here?
Yeah, this is the right choice. I mean, Conor's the biggest draw in the sport, and I think this will sell more pay-per-views than any other fight. I mean, this potentially will be the biggest pay-per-view of all time. It really has that capability. It probably will. I believe that. And the title fight will always be thereafter.
And do you relish kind of this opportunity? I mean, this is what combat sports is all about, right? Like, Conor was the first one to knock out Dustin. Dustin was the first one to knock out Conor. It's a trilogy, a main event, a pay-per-view. Like, this is what we're here for, right? This is what we love as fans of combat sports.
I'm just so happy to be involved with it. These are literally the biggest fights that the sport's ever seen, and I'm honored to be involved with it in any way, as a fan, as a coach. It's incredible, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and Dustin's been through so much in his career, the ups and the downs and stuff, but it's been it seems like right now this is peak form. It's crazy to think that he might be in his prime right now. Like, the performances have been so good over the last few years. Do you see that in him, that maybe he still hasn't even hit his peak?
He's still getting better all the time, and another guy who has paid his dues more than anyone. These are the guys that took the long road, the guys that deserve it more than anybody, right? With the exception of Bisping, right? He was the guy that had the longest road ever to a UFC title fight, which when he fought Khabib. So these are the guys that you want to see in these situations, and the guys you want to see defy the odds and finally stand on top of that mountain and get the paychecks that they've earned through years and years and years of wars and battles and tough fight and injuries and you just want to see these guys on top.
And last thing on the trilogy, of course, like you said, the leg kick's a big talking point there. Is that from a strategic advantage, or from a strategic standpoint, an advantage to you guys, that maybe that's going to be so in Conor's head? I'm sure you have a million other things up your sleeve that you're thinking about that you can go into there and approach, but the fact that was such an X factor in Conor's mind, that probably allows you to set up a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's the fight game is very complex. This is one weapon of potentially thousands or more, right? We're talking about one weapon there. Dustin's got a lot of them.
You expect Dustin to stop him again?
Who knows? It's hard to make predictions. You never. The fight game is crazy. I don't like to make predictions, but I'm confident that he'll get the win.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the time, and a huge summer coming up for you guys. Obviously starts with Jorge this weekend, and appreciate the time, Coach.
Let's get it. Let's go. Thanks.
Awesome.